20 years to hear that song and get introduced at a convention. But I'm here to tell you how to believe it, and I want to start out by telling you that my parents planted seeds of greatness within me as a small boy. My mother would tell me over and over again, she'd say, Scott, I don't know what you're going to be when you grow up. I don't know what you're going to do, but you're going to be something great. You're going to be fantastic. Wherever you go, you are destined for greatness. And my father was a strong man with a strong voice, and he would tell me over and over again, Scott, you can do anything you set your mind to. And I heard that over and over growing up. And see, the nice thing about being young when you're hearing that kind of thing is you have childlike faith. There's no question in your mind that you are going to be great. The problem that so many of us have is that as we grow older, we start to compare ourselves to our peers. And that can be dangerous in the area of beliefs. Now, the smartest thing I ever did is I married Lori. And she has always had an undying faith and an undying belief in me, an unwavering love that was not dependent upon whether we succeeded or failed. And I got to tell you that she paid the price. And we lived in a 14 by 70 metal roof mobile home built back in 1978 in a trashy trailer home park. And it was difficult as winners, as both of us were, at least in our minds at that time, to live there, but that's the price that we paid. And what she did is she gave me permission to fail. And so as I attempted to be successful, I got to tell you, I failed in business 7 times before this one. Just to give you an idea, the last business I started, it took me working part-time 3 years to save that money, $7,000, which was all the money I had in the world to me at that time, to invest in that business. And sadly, that business never made a nickel. I cannot put into words for you the disappointment, the frustration, and the pain from failing like that over and over again. And sometimes if you were to ask me how did I continue on, I'll tell you how. My greatest fear is that I would be an old man one day, and I'd be looking back on my life, and I'd look in that mirror and I'd say, Scott, why didn't you try? Didn't you understand that there's only one go-around in this world, in this life? Why didn't you try harder? Didn't you understand that this is the only shot you got? Why didn't you give it your best? Why didn't you leave everything on the table? I didn't want to have that conversation. You know? I wanted at the very least to be able to look myself in the eye in the mirror and say, you know what? You gave it your best, no regrets. You gave it your best, no regrets. And I asked God, I said, God, help me find something that I want to do something with my life. And I promised one thing for sure. The pain of giving up was greater than the pain of failing. So I made the decision that night that I would never say die. I'd just keep going no matter what it took. And it's funny how things in life happen like this. Shortly thereafter, I found this business, and I started to compare this business with every other business I'd ever been involved with or ever even evaluated. And just to give you a little bit of background, I grew up in the business world. My parents owned a jewelry store while growing up. It cost them in today's dollars approximately $100,000 to start that business. It took them 8 years to break even. They had to make $24,000 a month, roughly, to cover their overhead, okay? You want to open up a Quiznos? 75 grand. You want to open up a Subway? 250 grand. You want to open a McDonald's? Talking a couple $1 million. Plus, I just read this article, you got to work for free for them for 2 years as part of your training process. Their quote was, we want people with ketchup in their veins. Now you look at our business, okay, top it off, you're going to help people. You're going to literally save lives. You've got a low overhead in our business, a low startup cost. You're going to make money right out of the chute. And I got to admit to you, our first year as dealers was hard. Very, very hard. I had to fight through all kinds of fears and doubts, and I'd failed so much before. Why this? Depression, anxiety attacks. And finally, I listened to a tape by Billy Cox, How to Run a Successful Dealership. And at that time, I had Darren Pierce with me. and we weren't feeding the people. So we started, lay everything on the line, and that's what I did. And we started doing 4 programs a week. Then he recruited a guy, I recruited a guy. We went to 5 programs a week, 6 programs a week. We opened up a booking office. We had bookers coming in like crazy. People would ask me how to do stuff, and I didn't know how to do some things. I'd say, I don't know, Lori's real smart, why don't you ask her? She's like, Scott's real smart, why don't you ask him? I'm like, ask her, ask him, ask her, ask him, ask her, ask him, and then boom, we were Rookie Dealers of the Year that year. Then we bought ourselves a duplex. The following year after that, we bought another duplex. 2 years later after that, we bought a dream home. 2 years later after that, we bought a dream ranch. We went on vacations with the company to places like Cancun and took our kids on extravagant vacations to Disneyland and Disney World and Jamaica and the Bahama Islands on the Bahama cruise. And the company said, Scott, you're doing so great. We want to give you this gold watch with diamonds instead of numbers. And I said, woo-hoo! I like this business. Now I got to tell you, I know that some of you are going to go through hard times in this thing, okay? That's the way it is. That's the business world. That's life. That's how it's going to be, okay? But just remember this. Everybody in this room, we all have 2 paths that we could take, the hard one and the easy one. And the only reward that comes from the easy one is that it was easy. Stop asking for a lighter load. Start asking for a stronger back. And if the real question is this, is it worth it? Is it worth it? And if you were to ask me if it was worth it, I would say, yeah. Yeah, it was all worth it. All the depression and anxiety and doubts and fears and all those failures, it was worth it. And the funny thing is, I'm not even talking about the money. I'm not talking about the stuff. I'm talking about the man that I became, the character that I had to develop to overcome and overcome and overcome. To overcome the depression and the fears and the doubts and the anxiety and all that stuff. To develop that pit bull attitude that I will never see die. That's the real prize, not the money. To have my kids, who were with me since the beginning of the mobile home days and seen the whole transgression of everything change, and they're teenagers now, to have them, hear me preaching to them for years about success and about being a winner, and they, for one thing's for sure, they know Dad's not full of crap, They know, they've seen it. And to have my grandparents, to earn their respect, yeah, it was all worth it. To have my parents tell me that they're proud of me and that, they always knew I was going to do something special. That was all worth it. To have my wife, who still to this day has nightmares that we're still stuck in that mobile home. Seriously. And to have her move into our dream home. To have her drive any car that she wants to drive. But most importantly, to have peace of mind and have financial security that I know is so important for her. You want to ask me how to believe it? You want me to tell you the truth? I don't know. I don't know. The only thing I know is you throw your heart over the bar and the rest of you will follow. You throw your heart over the bar and everything else will take care of itself. Let me close with this. You know what? It's better to attempt something great with our lives and fail than to attempt nothing much and succeed at mediocrity. God bless. I love you guys.